Natural Born Killers. Woody Harrelson, one of the best out there, and also charming, pleasant, drug taking actor. Drug taking is just a joke. I've seen him on Bill Maher's show, speaking about the fact that I think he's taking it easy now or something like that. And anyway, he was into mild marijuana taking habits, not something dangerous, something hard, cocaine or I don't know. Juliette Lewis and Robert Downey Jr. A stellar trio would be the recipe for success. And indeed, this is a landmark movie, controversial to say the least, at least I think. It has created echoes. It was condemned as being too violent. But then, of course, the counter argument is that you have to depict what there is in the world, and the world is free world, as well as the world that is not free is led by various idiots that are violent, that promote violence, use violence. We're talking the very stable genius, we're talking Xi, his friend from North Korea, Kim, Putin, who just poisoned the leader of the opposition with a military nerve gas, no less. Well, they used radioactive material on Litvinenko. So there's a lot of violence. What can you do? You have to, if you're talking about movies as depicting the world, then you have to use violence. And some are just extraordinary, among the very, very best, among the first best 30, 50, depending on the choice of one critic or another. You have Reservoir Dogs, for instance. That is a climax of blood and killing. And if not that, I mean, if not, we don't have millions dying like in a, let's say, war movie. There is violence in the language. I think that was the one where they say fuck every 50 seconds or something equivalent, every 50 seconds. So the most I can't say foul language, the most well, maybe for some vulgar language in terms of frequency of use. So there it is. On the other hand, there will be a pertinent critic, which was made for something I've seen recently, but I can't, for the name of God, remember what. I mentioned it yesterday too, but I can look back at the notes. Anyway, they were saying this is violence for the sake of violence. They indulge. I remember. 8 millimeters, the film with Nicolas Cage, Joaquin Phoenix, in which they have a snuff movie. And one critic was saying this is not dealing with the subject and taking a distance and doing the proper thing which art should do, cinema making. But they just something like revel in it. They it's not a condemnation anymore, not even a distant, neutral, objective telling of the story. It's taking pleasure in it or something like that. That was what the critic said. I don't know if I've seen that dimension there. I didn't notice it. Well, on the other hand, I didn't really pay so much attention to a film that was not really good. It was trashed by so many, as I said, so many relevant critics. No. Returning a little bit to Natural Born Killers, It's a very fast pace. It's drugs. It's killing for the sake of killing. It's a competition with Manson, another lunatic. This one for real. There's that habit of letting one to just tell the story to the rest of the world when he thinks appropriate. There's an instance when Bitten by a Snake, the character of Woody Harrelson, is in this pharmacy, and knowing the story, the pharmacist says, I'm the only sales assistant, hoping that since he's the only one, he would be left alive to tell the story. But Woody Harrelson, vicious, says, yeah, but if I let you live, then there wouldn't be, and there's no dead, there wouldn't be a story to tell, would it? So she shoots him, he kills him, and so many more, so many others. Juliette Lewis's character is also very ferocious and intense. Now, there will be explanations. There's so much violence on television. That's part of the story. That's what we're... Dă-te jos și termină cu canal. It's destroying the roof there. Natural born killers here too. But so that would be part of the reason, the background. They've watched, they see, they're surrounded by, we are surrounded by so much violence that we become violent. Well, maybe. More important, more relevant, there would be the fact that she was abused by her father, who was a vicious man, grabbing her and lusting for his daughter, really. But then again, I'm thinking Jordan Peterson and the fact that he said not every single child that has been abused would abuse in his turn. There is a tendency there, but then he's making this calculation that with a geometric progression, if that would be the case, we would have 10 billion more. I mean, going back, more than the population of the planet would be abusive if we go back and say all, because the children of this father will have other children, and if he will abuse, then they will abuse in their turn, and so on. Like in that legend with a king and a man who says, playing chess, or he did something, so what do you want in return? I want 1 grain of rice here on the table. But then that will be doubled every time you move a square on this chess table or something like that. And again, you will have to give him a trillion tons of grain, because that's how geometric progression works. Okay, so landmark, but controversial.